My name is John Makransky. Really love being here with you all. It's kind of amazing. We have a big group. I think about 1,000 registered. And I think especially this first time, it may take a couple minutes for everyone to arrive. So I suggest that while we're just waiting, I'll just wait another, just a couple of minutes, because we do need to start, of course. So while we're just waiting for just a couple of minutes, let's just settle into a quiet meditation together this way. Just each in our own way, just settle into a quiet meditation for just a few moments. Okay. Very good. Let's go ahead and begin now, okay? Great to see you all. For those of you who are new to Zoom, you'll notice in the upper right corner of your screen, you can click on the little box there that says, it says either speaker view or it may be just like a box of 9 dots. You click on that and you can either have speaker view, which is mainly focusing on me, or you can have gallery view. Can you find that? It's just right there in your upper right corner. Speaker view or gallery view, so you can choose. So I want to welcome you all here. Again, it's really great to be with you. This is amazing to have hundreds of people together like this. And it really feels to me like we're all here. And you still are able to hear me? You can make a signal? Good. So here's what we're going to do together in this hour. First, I'm going to discuss very briefly the background and the framework of the practices that we'll be doing these 7 weeks together. We're meeting on the Thursday evening where I'll present and lead some meditation. And then on Friday evening, we'll meet again for those who would like, for a question and answer, okay? So that'll be for 7 weeks. So we'll go through a number of practices together. I'll discuss a little of the background behind those practices, and then I'll lead a meditation practice. And then we'll process that meditation. And then I'll discuss how to take this practice into our daily lives for the coming week. Okay? That's our agenda. So now, as it said in the course description, within this pandemic crisis, many of us are experiencing contagious feelings of unease and anxiety that are contagious. That is, they're shared with those all around us. And many of us would like a healing way to process those feelings so we could be a more healing and caring presence for others right now. Does that sort of make sense? That's what we're going to explore. So let's take a moment right now, just a moment, to become aware of pandemic-related feelings, emotions, or feelings that we're feeling right now or these days. So feelings of unease, anxiety, pangs of fear that we may be experiencing now. Just drop down from the head into the body and sense from within any feelings of unease or anxiety or fear at all the uncertainties that are here now. Can you feel some of those feelings? So tonight, we'll explore ways to establish a core of compassionate awareness that can safely hold these feelings. This is a core of awareness to which we can return for replenishment. It's a core of awareness that can convert our painful feelings into energies of compassion. And this core of loving or compassionate awareness can also serve as a secure base to generate a more sustaining power of love and compassion for others. So that's the direction we're going to be exploring. So how to establish such a core of inner safety and loving awareness for ourselves and others. How to do that. So in these presentations, I'm going to draw on a pattern of training in sustaining compassion from Tibetan Buddhism, with which I'm most familiar. But there's a similar pattern of training in love and compassion that also occurs in other spiritual traditions. And that pattern of training in love and compassion also mirrors stages of emotional development in humans that are described in developmental psychology. Now, in Tibetan Buddhism and in other spiritual traditions, the cultivation of a more sustaining and unconditional power of love and compassion begins not with yourself trying to become more compassionate just on your own as a self-help technique, but rather the cultivation of such love and compassion begins with the awareness that you and your whole world are held in the love and compassion of a field of care that is present to you with those loving qualities. Shall I repeat that? The cultivation of a power of more and more sustaining and unconditional love and compassion begins not just with yourself trying to become more compassionate on your own. Rather, in all these traditions that I'm drawing from, actually, the cultivation of such love and compassion begins with the awareness that you and your whole world are held in the love and compassion of a field of care that is present to you with those loving qualities. So in Tibetan Buddhism, we are held in the love and compassion and wisdom of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, in the ritual and meditative practices of refuge. In contemplative Christianity and Judaism and Islam and Hinduism, we are held in the love and compassion of God and of saintly figures who refract God's love to us. You following what I'm saying? And in many indigenous religions, we are held in the love and compassion of our field of ancestors. So to experience ourselves as held in the love and compassion and wisdom of our field of care like that helps us to access those same qualities in our own basic awareness, to access those same loving qualities in our own awareness, and to settle into the source of those qualities in the depth of our awareness. And from there to extend love and compassion more sustainably and unconditionally to others. So in other words, from the perspective of the various spiritual traditions of training in love and compassion, for us to become more loving and compassionate is to become an extension of the field of love and compassion in which we are already held. Shall I repeat that? From the perspective of these various spiritual traditions of training in love and compassion, for us to become more loving and compassionate is to become an extension of the field of love and compassion, the field of care in which we are already held. So you following? So this pattern of practice from spiritual traditions mirrors a pattern of human emotional development that is described in developmental psychology. In the course of our lives, human beings need to experience what it is like to be seen as worthy of care and held in love and care, in order for us to mature into persons who can see and hold others reliably in love and care. That pattern of human emotional development is now well known and described in developmental psychology. We need to experience what it's like to be seen as worthy of care and held in love and care in order to mature into persons who can see and hold others reliably in love and care. Do you see the similarity of the pattern there? We need to experience ourselves as held in love and care, seen in that way. Our underlying capacity to hold others in love and care and see them in that way. This is well-established part now of developmental psychology, and it is the pattern of training from all the spiritual traditions I'm aware of. I'll be drawing especially from Tibetan Buddhism because that's the one I'm most familiar with, but the pattern is the same in those other traditions. So in this online course over the next some weeks, we will follow this pattern of practice from Buddhism and other contemplative traditions as informed by modern psychology. This kind of pattern of practice here is called sustainable compassion training. It's also called innate compassion training sometimes. And this kind of training is meant to be accessible for people of all backgrounds. So I adapted this pattern of training from Tibetan Buddhism and other spiritual traditions with lots of help from my teaching partners in order to make this pattern of training accessible to people of all backgrounds, whether religious or non-religious. So this kind of pattern of practice, sustainable compassion training, includes 3 modes of meditation: receptive mode, deepening mode, and inclusive mode. Okay so far? First, in receptive mode, we're going to experience ourselves held by a field of care in qualities of love and compassion, prior to any attempt by us to try to cultivate those qualities ourselves. That's the receptive mode. Just like I described in those various spiritual traditions and in developmental psychology, first we're going to experience ourselves held in a field of care and seen from that perspective. That's receptive mode. And then we're going to let that experience of being held in love and compassion help us to access our own underlying capacity for those same loving qualities in our awareness, so we can settle into those loving qualities more and more, which is the deepening mode, the second mode. Settling into those qualities of love and compassion more and more, and into their source in the depth of our awareness. And then from there, in the inclusive mode, we can include many others in those loving qualities within relationship and action. So tonight, we're going to begin with a meditation mainly in the receptive mode, although actually, not to complicate things for you, but actually every meditation we explore this in all these sessions includes all three of those modes, whether implicitly or explicitly. But each meditation also emphasizes one of those modes especially. So the meditation tonight is going to emphasize receptive mode. So what do I mean by that? In this meditation that I'm going to lead in just a couple minutes, we're going to experience ourselves as held within a field of care and compassion. And there are two different ways that I think have worked well for many people to evoke this kind of field of care in which we experience ourselves as held in love and compassion. Two ways to evoke a field of care. One way is by what I call recalling a caring moment. Recalling a caring moment. The second way is by evoking a benefactor. Evoking a benefactor. Is all this clear enough? I'm also trying to check that my English is sounding okay coming through your speakers. Good, thanks. So the first meditation in mainly receptive mode involves bringing to mind a field of care, experiencing ourselves as held in the love and compassion of that field of care. So two kinds of field of care. One, recalling a caring moment. Secondly, second kind, recalling or evoking a benefactor. So now let's focus on this first way and see how you relate to it. This first way involves recalling a moment of caring connection. One simple moment that you've experienced anytime during your life of caring connection with another being or another person, and then re-inhabiting that moment as if it's happening now. Is everybody following? So try now to recall one simple caring moment when you were with another person or being. As a moment that makes you happy to remember or feels deeply positive. A moment when someone was radiating warmth and care to you, or seeing you, or really listening, or happy to be with you, or rooting for you, or wishing you well. So we're not looking for some kind of a perfect saint. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to recall one simple moment of caring connection like that with another person that makes you happy to think of. Try to do that. One simple moment, a moment, not a person now in particular, a moment with another person or being that makes you happy to think of. And it could be even what we might tend to think of as just a little moment, like a little moment that maybe doesn't matter very much, we may think. So for example, sometimes when I used to come home from school when I was a child, I'd walk in the house and my mother had a friend named Yvonne. It's just a close friend of my parents. And I'd walk in the door and I have a memory of Yvonne just turning toward me with a big smile on her face. I was a small child. And this warm greeting, "Johnny, hi, how was school today?" Just like that, one little moment. Or I can recall many such moments with my second grade teacher, Mrs. Kirshner. Just the moment recalling how much I love to be around her. You see what I mean? We're just seeking one simple moment. We're not looking for any perfect person or something. See if you can identify one and just kind of bring it to mind and feel it a little bit as if it's happening now. One simple caring moment. If it's hard at first to think of one with another human, you could also think of a loving moment with a pet, just snuggling in together. Okay? So that's one way to bring to mind a field of care, and the field of care is that caring moment. A second way of evoking a field of care is to evoke a benefactor, bring a benefactor to mind. So what do I mean by that? Okay, everybody following? Still hearing the language is working okay? Evoking a benefactor means think of someone that you are grateful has been in your life or your world. So now we're focusing not just on one moment, like the moment that Yvonne greeted me when I walked in the door. Now we're bringing to mind a person. And this is someone that you are grateful has been in your life or world, someone that you feel has inspired you or blessed you by their presence or way of being or mentorship. Someone by whom you felt deeply seen or whose way of being was uplifting for you. Try to envision, try first to identify a person like that, someone that you're grateful has been in your life or world, whether personally known to you close up or just someone out there in the world that you're so glad is in this world, in the past or in the present. Can everybody think of someone like that? You're just grateful that they exist. So that's what I'm calling a benefactor. So now for a moment, just envision that person and feel that person as here with you now. Feel that person as here with you now. How does that feel? Okay? So which of those two ways of establishing a field of care works best for you? Bringing to mind a caring moment that makes you happy to recall or feels deeply positive to you. One simple moment. Or bringing to mind a benefactor figure. Someone that you feel grateful has been in your life or world. Which of those two ways, each of those I'm calling a field of care, which we'll explore in the meditation. Which of those two kinds of field of care is most connecting for you? Which just then, as you experimented with each, which was more effective in helping you sense that you are held in a field of love and care and compassion within that moment or within the presence of that benefactor? Which is more effective in helping you sense that you are held now in a field of love and care and compassion? Whichever of those two ways is most effective for that, for you, please use that way in the meditation. So is that clear enough so far? You pick your own way into the meditation, one of those two ways, carrying moment or evoking a benefactor. Okay? Okay, so in the meditation that I'm about to lead, you will evoke your field of care and steep in its loving energy and qualities. And then let all of your feelings, including pandemic-related feelings of unease and anxiety or fear, be held in that loving energy and its qualities. And then you will let that loving energy come through you to others who have similar feelings of unease and anxiety. That's the meditation we're going to do. So, shall I repeat that? These are the steps of the meditation we're about to do, so you're forewarned. You will evoke your field of care, either a caring moment or a benefactor, and steep in the loving energy and loving qualities that come with that. Then you'll let all your feelings, including pandemic-related feelings of unease and anxiety, be held in that loving energy and its qualities. And then you'll let that loving energy come through you to others who have similar feelings of unease and anxiety. Okay? Clear enough? Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. If you need to, for just a moment, if you need to just loosen up or stretch out in your seat, which is what I'm doing at the moment, loosening my neck up and stuff, feel free to do that. Just do it for a moment so we loosen up. Okay. Okay, let's begin with just a little bit of abdominal breathing. So you just sit in a comfortable way, back straight, comfortably straight. Your eyes could be open, gazing downward, or closed if you prefer. And you just breathe gently into your abdomen, so your abdomen expands on the inhale. Feel it expand. And then let the exhale be slow and elongated, not quick. You can pause for a moment at the end of the exhale, and then inhale gently again into the abdomen so it expands. And then elongated, slow exhale. And pause a moment. And inhale into the abdomen so it expands again. Please just do that a few more times at your own pace. And now bring to mind your field of care, that is your caring moment or your benefactor, whichever works best for you. And bring this to mind not just as a distant memory or an abstraction, but as happening right now. That caring moment is happening now, or that benefactor is present here with you right now. And that person is seeing you and your deep worth beyond judgments, happy to be with you or wishing you well, however it is. And just settle and relax into the felt sense of your field of care, this caring moment or being with this benefactor. Just steeping in its loving energy, feeling its tender qualities, letting them infuse your whole being. Just accept the loving energy and tender qualities of this field of care into your whole body and mind. Into every part of your body, into every layer of feeling and emotion. As if every part of you is loved in its very being. As if every part of you is loved in its very being. Just accepting that, allowing that. When you notice the mind wandering, then freshly recall your field of care, that caring moment or benefactor, and just let its loving power draw you back into it, to settle into the feeling of it more and more in your whole body and mind. Every part of you loved in its very being. And let any feelings related to this pandemic also be here. Any feelings of anxiety or fear for others that you have, let all such feelings also be gently embraced in the loving energies and qualities of this field of care. Deeply allowing any feelings to be here in that way. And letting them settle in their own way. All of your feelings, including pandemic-related ones, just gently embraced in the loving energies of this field of care. Deeply allowing those feelings to be here in that way, and letting them settle in their own way, in their own time. And now, as if you are a window pane for it, let this loving energy come through you as a radiance to others all around you who have similar feelings of unease or fear or distress. As if you're a window pane, let this loving energy come through you as a radiance to others around you who have similar feelings of fear or distress. And let this energy of love and compassion come through you to them all, while just wishing them deeply well and free of distress. Just wishing them all deeply well and free of distress. And now just relax deeply into this felt sense of loving energy and warmth and acceptance. And let that help your heart and mind to just trust and deeply relax and just release all of its frameworks. And let the heart and mind become, or just fall gently, completely open like space. Let the heart and mind just fall gently, completely open like space. And let the patterns of experience that arise just unwind and release within this total openness of awareness, this space of deep allowing and letting all be. Very good. Thank you. So let me review the steps of this meditation we just did. First, we brought to mind and inhabited our field of care, a caring moment or the presence of a benefactor that's meaningful for us, for each of us. And then we steep in its loving energies and qualities, and just letting all of our feelings, including painful feelings, be gently embraced in those loving energies and qualities, where those feelings can just begin to settle and heal in their own time. Deeply allowing the feelings to be here, not pushing them away, avoiding them, not distracting ourselves from them, deeply allowing them to be here, these feelings, but also in a profoundly safe and compassionate space that allows them to find their own place in their own time, gently embraced in these loving qualities of this field of care. You following? That's what we just did. And then we let that loving energy as radiance come through us to others with similar feelings while wishing them well. And in this way, then, within the meditation, instead of isolating us from others, our painful feelings are compassionately connecting us to others in layers of human feeling that we all share. So we're rediscovering our feelings, even our painful feelings, as not isolating the way we often experience painful feelings, but as actually connecting us with caring empathy to many others who have similar layers of feeling. So if this was a workshop that did not include almost 600 people, at this point I would ask, can you please name one loving quality that you experienced within that meditation? The instruction came, just relax into the felt sense of your field of care, this caring moment or presence of your benefactor. Just relax into the felt sense of that, steeping in its loving energy, feeling its tender qualities, letting them infuse your whole being, just accepting that loving energy and tender qualities. So could you follow that instruction and begin perhaps even of care, connection, love, compassion, or whatever? And if so, then my question would become, can you name a loving quality that you experienced then? So in workshops, when I'm teaching this practice, then lots of hands get raised. And each person shares one loving quality, one or two, that they were experiencing. And it's amazing to hear them all. So shall I share some of those loving qualities that I often repeatedly hear actually in workshops? Shall I do that? Okay. The feeling of acceptance, warmth, tenderness. I felt seen, openness, peace, well-being, safety, or it felt safe, feeling at home. It felt healing. I felt gratitude. It felt like nothing was wrong. It was a slowing down. It was restfulness, softening, freedom, joy, release, simplicity. Felt inspiring. I felt uplifted. It felt like grace. It felt like blessing. Those are ones I've heard at workshops. Pretty cool, huh? It's pretty amazing how immediately those kinds of loving qualities can be evoked, how quickly that can happen. Those qualities, that represents accessing qualities from the depth of our awareness. within the theory of the kind of practice traditions that I'm drawing from, those are actually underlying capacities and qualities of our basic awareness, which the field of care meditation evokes with great immediacy. In terms of Buddhist traditions like Tibetan Buddhism that I draw on, those are qualities of our Buddha nature. They're available with that much immediacy if we learn how to become receptive to them, right from our own fundamental awareness. And here with the help of a field of care. So this meditation, to use some terms now from modern psychology, this meditation generates what's called a grounded cognition. That is, within this meditation experience, multiple neural systems are activated together. Sensory systems, perceptual, affective, motor, kinesthetic, so that the experience of loving energies and qualities can actually affect us very deeply in multiple dimensions of our embodied experience. So those are that's a current understanding in psychology. And it also shows some of the brilliance of the spiritual traditions that each in their own way begin with a field of care that can evoke with such immediacy the qualities of our underlying awareness and bring online or activate so many different neural systems at once, all together. Isn't that amazing? Now, this meditation, as I said, shows us how immediately we can access loving qualities from our underlying awareness with the help of our field of care, which is following the pattern of the various spiritual traditions of training. Now, when we've familiarized with this meditation, if someone were to take it up and do it quite a lot and become quite familiarized with it, which is how people do these kinds of practices in the various spiritual traditions. When we've familiarized with the meditation, we can actually reconnect with its core experience of love and warmth and acceptance whenever we need to, for rest and replenishment and healing. This core experience of loving awareness helps us process our own feelings in a healing way. So we can discover, as we did in this meditation, that our own painful feelings can actually connect us in caring empathy to many others who also harbor painful feelings. So in later sessions of this course, we're going to explore further ways to process our feelings and convert them into compassionate energy for others. Okay so far? This meditation that we just did highlights the receptive mode of sustainable compassion training. Remember those three modes: receptive, deepening, and inclusive. This meditation raises up the receptive mode especially, that is, inhabiting a field of care and accepting its loving energies and qualities deeply into our being. But the same meditation also inscribes the other two modes of sustainable compassion training. That is the inclusive mode, including others in these loving energies, and also the deepening mode of relaxing deeply into the depth of our awareness, into its basic openness. And in following sessions in coming weeks, we'll also go further into all three of those modes of practice. So we've actually covered quite a lot, and I'm actually closing in now on the final things I wanted to say this evening, okay? And you've all been so patient. Let me say one more thing. Practitioners in spiritual traditions like Tibetan Buddhism, and also the others I mentioned, they do practices like this a whole lot, repeating them many, many times. So like in Tibetan Buddhism, for example, they'll do practices in the kind of pattern that we just did at least 100,000 times. And then we can talk, then then you would talk to your meditation teacher further about what you might do after that. But don't even talk to me before you've done that 100,000 times. That's actually the tradition in Tibet. I know many of you are probably familiar with that. But there's a similar doing it a whole lot, repeating it a lot, settling more and more into what it evokes, discovering more and more deeply what it can, how deeply connecting it can be, how much more of you is discovered in it. That is shared with all those other traditions I named. So we can also do this practice a lot if we chose to, by connecting repeatedly with the practice in brief moments throughout our days. And the basic practice of it is in the handout that you have available to you. There's a meditation handout of sustainable compassion training. Your welcome email from the Barry Center said John has provided some materials for you to look at. So you click on that link and you go to that and you open the window will open for this course. And if you scroll down near the bottom, you'll see materials John provided for checking out. The first one is a meditation handout for sustainable compassion training. And basically the meditation we just did at its core is meditation number 1. So you can look at that and you can explore it over the coming week. Meditation number 1, which is receptive, becoming receptive, bringing to mind a field of care, like within a caring moment or with a benefactor. You'll see it there. So by connecting repeatedly with this practice in brief moments in the day, could even be very briefly, just sort of clicking into it, remembering that field of care is available to you, or that the possibility of bringing a benefactor to mind is right there for you. And the moment you bring it to mind, you can begin to experience the qualities that come with that if you inhabit that moment as happening now. So by repeatedly doing the practice in our days in that way, we can really familiarize with accessing this kind of core of loving awareness. We can actually learn to access it more and more easily with repetition. Now, in neuroscience terms, repeatedly reconnecting with the meditation strengthens our ability to access loving qualities by strengthening the neural networks that correspond to them. Repetition, that's the great strength of contemplative traditions and meditation traditions, is repetition, because it harnesses the power of neural plasticity in terms of neuroscience. Repetition is needed to strengthen the neural pathways that correspond to these kinds of experiences. Now, in psychological terms, repeated practices of this meditation helps us establish and to strengthen an inner core of security in love and awareness, a kind of inner secure base from which we can become more compassionately present to all parts of ourselves, to all of our feelings, and also to others and their feelings. So just to finish up now then, over the coming week, for those of you who might want to really explore this direction of training, sustainable compassion training in this kind of pattern of practice, I suggest you try to identify more caring moments in your life, meaning more moments that make you happy to recall, make you happy to remember them, or to feel deeply positive to remember. Simple moment of caring connection with another person, or could be with an animal, that feels uplifting or positive or happy making. And settle into that a bit as if it's happening now. That moment is now. And feel the kinds of loving qualities that come with that experience. Try to look for more such moments in your life and experiment with them this way. And I also suggest you try to identify further benefactors in your life. That is someone that you really feel grateful has been in your life or in your world. And bring one of them to mind at a time, as if they are really present here with you now. And experience the felt presence of that, the qualities that come with that. Being seen, held in fundamental, stable care, warmth. And then notice which one of these ways, a caring moment or recalling a benefactor, works best in the meditation for you to evoke the experience of loving energies and qualities, which is described in the handout I just mentioned in meditation 1. You'll find it right there. So that will remind you of it if you like. And then what I would suggest, if you're really interested in exploring this, is first thing each morning, even for just a little while, do this meditation. This, the meditation 1 in our meditation handout. Maybe for 10 minutes or so. Do it first thing in the morning, and that's your base. That's like your anchor for the day. You've reconnected with it. And now during your day, touch in on the same meditation briefly, repeatedly in little moments throughout your day. Each day this week, you just kind of touch in on it again. Recall your caring moment or bring to mind your benefactor, recognizing that you're doing that in order to evoke loving or compassionate qualities from your own awareness, as a means to evoke those qualities with immediacy, and then to settle into the feeling of those qualities, relax into them. Let all of your feelings be embraced in those gentle, loving qualities, deeply allowing your feelings to be here in that way. That can be quite profoundly grounding and empowering and healing. So do the meditation first thing in the morning if you really want to explore this. Then repeatedly reconnect with that same meditation form, even just briefly in little moments of your day for a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, just like that. So to familiarize with it. And that repetition helps establish the core of loving awareness that can process our feelings in a healing way and support us in our care for others. So now, if you wish to find other people who regularly practice this kind of meditation, this sustainable compassion training, there are online practice groups available for that. And if you want to find them, then just look at the first page of your meditation handout near the bottom. You can make a note of it now. Look at the first page of your meditation handout near the bottom, and you'll see a website for the Foundation for Active Compassion, which is the primary organization that I teach through. Foundation for Active Compassion. You'll see the website there. If you click on that, then you can find right on the homepage online practice groups for this form of practice, and can subscribe if you wish there to be notified of further resources and teachings in this way. Okay, so just finishing up then, some administrative things. The recording of this session is going to be posted tomorrow, Friday, on the Barry Center website. And that's on your welcome email that you've all received today, I think. So it tells you how to connect to that if you want to get to the recording. And secondly, if any of you do not have this meditation handout yet, then again, you can find it in the same place, really. Go to the Barry Center website, click on the online programs link, and the first item in the drop-down menu is this course. And on the page for this course, you'll find the meditation handout as well, near the bottom. And then one other thing is tomorrow evening, each Friday evening over these 7 weeks, those of us who wish are gonna meet for Thursday and Friday evening for 7 weeks. I present like this on Thursday evening. Friday evening is time for, I'll review the meditation, we'll go through it again, and then have question and answer. So to ask questions for that, just send questions by 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, Friday, and send them to the email address that's again, in your welcome letter from the Barry Center that came today. Okay? That's how to submit any questions you may have that I could respond to tomorrow night. One other thing just I wanted to mention is that this course is offered free of charge in this pandemic crisis, when so many are losing their jobs and losing their resources for life. So it feels really good to just offer this course for free. At the same time, it would be good if those of you who could consider making a donation to the 2 organizations that are sponsoring this event, the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies and the Foundation for Active Compassion, which also need help at this time just to support their good work. Okay, so why don't we just do like 1 minute of quiet meditation together? I've been talking so long. It'd be nice to just be quiet together for 1 minute, and then we'll stop, okay? Thank you all for coming. It's been great to be with you, have you all here. Bye-bye.